Good morning. If I could have your attention, we're going to get underway. So good morning. I'm Scott Travers, the Executive Director for the Rhode Island Saltwater Anglers Association. And on behalf of the Saltwater Anglers Association and Steve Medeiros' family, I want to welcome everyone here today for the Stephen J. Medeiros Fishing Area dedication. Steve was an unparalleled advocate for recreational saltwater anglers and worked tirelessly creating the Rhode Island Saltwater Anglers Association, working with numerous agencies, including the Department of Environmental Management, and hosting events such as the Take a Kid Fishing Day, the Youth Fishing Camp, and the New England Saltwater Fishing Show, as well as so many more things. The association and programs he started are still active and helping to expand and improve the recreational saltwater fishing community today. We have several guests today who'd like to speak and share a few words to help us dedicate the memorial. First off, I'd like to call Representative Seth Magaziner, our congressional representative.
Thank you very much, Scott, and everyone from the Rhode Island Saltwater Anglers Association. I see Terry Gray from DEM is here. Thank you for your leadership. And in particular, the Medeiros family members who are here. Thank you for sharing Stephen with the rest of us. You know, saltwater fishing, recreational fishing, is a $400 million industry for Rhode Island. And in a state the size of Rhode Island, that is a really big deal. So this is not just about recreation and having fun, though that is important. This is about supporting thousands of jobs, and literally thousands of jobs, people's livelihoods here in Rhode Island. Steve Medeiros founded the Rhode Island Saltwater Angler Association, which has been at the forefront of advocating for this important industry for years. That is in addition to, as Scott mentioned, all of the other great things he did, particularly for young people. You can see I'm here with my son Max, maybe a future fisherman, we'll see. But it is very fitting that the state would bestow this honor, and I think we're all tremendously grateful for the impact that Steve has had in Rhode Island and the legacy that is now being carried on by members of the association and their leadership and their team and volunteers here today. So thank you all very much, everybody, for turning out. These are the kinds of things that make Rhode Island a really special place, and it's an honor to be here with all of you today. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for inviting me to speak, Scott. I really appreciate it. So my name, as Scott mentioned, is Jason McNamee. I am the Deputy Director for the Bureau of Natural Resources at Rhode Island DEM. But I actually started my career in the Marine Fisheries program at DEM. I worked, when I started, with the Marine Fisheries Council. That was kind of my a core part of my job. And so I got to meet Steve and work with Steve through that experience. He was the long-serving vice chair at that point when I started. And I quickly learned how thoughtful and prepared and organized Steve was in his role on the Marine Fisheries Council. So as things progressed over the years, Steve really became a mentor to me, in particular with respect to managing recreational fisheries, but really about all sorts of things with respect to natural resources, public access, all of the things Steve had a really important role in. And I really couldn't have had it easier in working with Steve, because Steve, in the organization that Steve created in RISA, he was really conservation-minded. The organization is really conservation-minded. That makes my job really easy, because I am too. So we'd almost always align on things. Now I said almost, because it wasn't always, but that was another thing I really loved about Steve. You know, we could disagree on things. We'd talk about it, we'd understand our differences, and we'd move on from there. And he'd still invite me out to breakfast with the team after that. So, you know, he was really gracious and a great partner to work with. It's kind of funny to say this because I think, Steve would roll his eyes at me saying this, but he was kind of a statesman. He, really could come in, talk to me as the government state official and, little breeze there. Let me know what his positions were, figure out what my positions were, and we'd really work together to kind of find that compromise and pick that spot in the middle so that we could get something done, because that was Steve's goal in the end, was making progress and getting things done for his priorities. And he had a way of doing those things in a really pragmatic way, which I always appreciated. There was no pomp and circumstance with Steve. He was pretty pragmatic and right to the point, which I certainly appreciated. A final note, I'll mention Steve had a really laser focus on public access, both protecting it and expanding it. And that's why we're here in this spot this morning. Honoring Steve at this location, and talking with Rich Hittinger and Dave Monty about how best to remember Steve. We settled in on Black Point. It seemed like a really obvious choice. It's a beautiful location. It offers access to a really large chunk of the town of Narragansett, which is not super easy to get public access in. And so this is just such a great memorial to Steve, and I'm so pleased we were able to get this done with our partners in the legislature. So I'll sum up here. I will always remember Steve as running around at the annual Ryza banquet, trying to stay out of the limelight, but truly deserving to be in that light, and he deserved that light, for his work promoting recreational fisheries, promoting sustainable fisheries, creating a really powerful force in fisheries management in Ryza, and bringing a collective group of people together that were and are amazing, thoughtful, and a force for what's right in fisheries management and the battle for public access. So thank you all very much, and I'll pass it back to you, Scott.
Thank you very much.
And public access projects over the years. And for these, we raised money, and we found ways to leverage federal and state dollars, sometimes at a 3-to-1 ratio. So projects that we worked on together, thanks to Steve's legacy, things like doing the fish passage and fish ladders at Indian Lake for herring, constructed reefs for native fish habitat at Sabin Point in East Providence, doing the engineering on the Potter Hill Dam in Westerly, looking at ways to provide fish passage and remove dams in that great river. The Palisades fish ladder, which is also on the Saugatucket. And these partnerships continued as a legacy to his memory. Right here at Black Point, the Nature Conservancy, working with the support of the saltwater anglers and in partnership with the Department of Environmental Management, work to improve this trail behind us using nature-based strategies to address erosion and making it more accessible for all people. And that's one of the wonderful things about public access for fishing. These are places for all Rhode Islanders to come out and enjoy angling. There's really no barrier to entry. Anyone can do it. Anyone can enjoy it. It really enriches our culture, our way of life, our economy, and it's, I think, what really distinguishes Rhode Island and what makes it great. So it's an honor to be here, and I'm grateful to the saltwater anglers for your continued partnership, to our partners at DEM for all we're doing, and I think it's a great, this is a great tribute and honor to Steve's memory. There he is. Coming over my shadow, but thank you so much. Thanks, Scott.
Next, I'd like to call Audra Medeiros, Steve's daughter.
Yeah, I was just joking that he's probably blowing all those signs because he needed things like this that went on, so we might be trying to send the message that let's wrap this up. But thank you all for being here, and I genuinely struggled with what to say this morning, and while I was trying to figure that out, it made me think very much of Dad's monthly struggle to figure out what to write in his president's message in the newsletter, and every single month for years he didn't know what to write in there, and it was always just month after month after month a battle, but he never, to my knowledge, skipped one. He never dialed it in, he never just didn't. He never just took that day off. And I think that's one of the things that sorry, Dad. They want me to do this. That's one of the things I think that made him so successful, that he always put in the work. He put in the raw hours of effort to accomplish the things that he was passionate about. It was one of the reasons that he was so successful, and the Rhode Island saltwater anglers and everyone that contributed to his efforts. It's simultaneously makes me really proud to stand here and get to talk about him, but I also know that he would not want me to not give credit to all of the other people who were involved, because he wouldn't want the credit for himself. And so I see that dichotomy too, him blowing over signs, but so with all of the work of the organization, my mother constantly being his teammate, he accomplished a lot of things. And the second thing that I think made him so successful was how humble he was. The fact that he didn't ever want the limelight. He never tried to, be pompous or take credit for these things. He was willing to quietly stand in the back of the room with his blue polo and his jeans and go home as soon as possible, because he always put the goals of the organization, conservation, education, preservation, before his own interests. That's why he was willing and able to work from 6 in the morning till 7 or 8 at night on his computer almost every single day to do the work that he did. And then I think the last major thing that made him so successful was that he brought a sense of gratitude to everything that he did. It's really hard to work that many hours and never take any credit unless you are just deeply grateful for every positive outcome that you accomplish. He never felt entitled, because he had worked so hard that should have worked out. It was almost like he was surprised every time when things went his way. He just always purposefully shone his light outward to the community. He was never worried about himself or what he'd get back out of things. And the metaphor that comes to my mind a lot is of him being like a great mighty oak tree. And trust me, I tried to work in an ocean metaphor here and I couldn't do it. So, go with me. Right? Like a giant, beautiful tree in a community, right? It provides shelter, it's beautiful, and it's just by its very state of being, its roots grow out and touch a huge number of the environment around it. And when, you lose the big, giant oak tree, it is absolutely a really tragic and painful loss. And at first it just seems, kind of pointless. Like, there's a beautiful tree, what now? But then eventually, when time passes, you realize that the tree, even though it's changed, is still part of the ecosystem, and all of those connections that it had made are still thriving. They're just different. The next generation of little, critters get to move in, and the good continues to spread, even if it is different now. So, in my dad's honor, I want to, with this sense of gratitude, thank you all for coming, taking time out of your day to stand around and listen to us and watch his signs get blown over, and for continuing to do all the work that you do in your communities, for the fisheries or any other part of your life. I hope that he serves as an inspiration to just continue to make the world around us better in whatever way we do that. So, thank you.
Very good.
Next, I'd like
Thank you, Scott. And
thank you everyone for attending today. We told everyone to expect about 20 to 30 people here today. I think we've greatly exceeded that, so thank you all. And I wanted to explain real quickly, these signs that we have off to my left, those are going to be permanent signs here at Black Point. They're going to be, they're just mock-ups that we have right here. That size will be plaques, one located here in the parking area and two of them down by the water. So they'll be here permanently for everyone to enjoy. It's such a beautiful place, and I'm just so happy that we are here to celebrate Steve and to remember him at this beautiful spot in Rhode Island. I want to thank everyone at Rhode Island DEM for offering this spot in honor of Steve. It's really, I think it's a tremendous honor for Steve and for everything that he did for recreational fishing. And it's not only Rhode Island, but all of southeastern New England is all benefiting from things that Steve put in place. I also want to thank Lynn and her family because Lynn was Steve's partner through all this. And let me tell you, when Steve was working on things, Lynn was right there next to him helping out. So she was part of all of the accomplishments that we are giving Steve. Lynn was also part of that. Thank you very much, Lynn. Now, a lot of you know individual things that Steve did, such as the fish camp, kids fishing camp, such as Kids Fishing Day, but nobody really understands all of the things that Steve did. He was always busy, and that really became a reality when Steve passed in September of 2021, and the board was saddled with trying to pick up all of the things that Steve did and trying to figure out how to get everything done. Now, literally, we have 4 people working on the things that Steve did, and with the help of Lynn, and we're keeping up, but just barely. Let me tell you, he was a hard man to replace, and we never will replace him totally, but we're going to keep RISA going, and we're going to keep his honor in a lot of the programs that he started. And finally, I just want to say, Steve was my friend, and I definitely miss him, but I'll be remembering him, as everyone will, when we come down here to this beautiful location. Thank you very much, and the spirit, and I think we're going to continue doing even more things here at this location between RISA and DEM, and we're going to do it in the cooperative spirit that Steve instilled in us for advancement of recreational fishing opportunities. Thank you very much.
At this time, I'd like to, so in closing, I'd like to again thank Representative Seth Magazino, Jay McNamee, John Torgan, Audra, Rich Hittinger, and everybody else who came today to share in this dedication. I'd also like to thank the Board of Directors for the Saltwater Anglers Association for keeping Steve's dream alive and strong today. I'd also like to thank everybody attending today, and just wanted to say we're all welcome to walk the paths behind here, to explore nature and view the area today. Remember, this area isn't just this parking lot, it's this entire area right here behind us. So feel free to just get out there and explore a little bit of nature. I know it's a little chilly and overcast today. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming.